This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro-Insight for the week of September 16th, 2024. Oh, my stars, what a week. We're in a massive energetic storm, in a massive fog, in a tsunami of energies, with occasional lightning striking the waters and showing us what's there and what's been going on. Incredibly disorienting, extraordinarily powerful developments going on now because of the full moon in Pisces on the 17th, in some parts of the world on the 18th, with Neptune conjunct the moon. And this is a lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipses are like full moons to the 100th power. This one is more volatile than most, more confounding than most, more confusing than most, because it's at the end of the zodiac. And again, Neptune, ruler of Pisces, is part of the proceedings. It may take a while for you to get a clear understanding of what in the world is being revealed in your life, what is being cleared out. This eclipse is starting the next cycle of ones. We've still got some going on in Aries and Libra, resetting, rebooting our relationship dynamics. But while that family is petering out, this new one is ramping up. That's going to be with us until 2027. And they're almost all lunar eclipses in this particular grouping. So there's a huge, overwhelming quality of wrapping up, of shutting down chapters, of revelations, of departures, things leaving, things hitting the end of the line. Pluto and Uranus are in the configuration. Neptune and Uranus are all near the end of their signs and near the end of their time in their signs. So there's a very strong turn of the century, turn of the wheel vibe to all of this, and hanging on to your rational mind is going to be a challenge. Park your critical reasoning, put it on idle. It will occasionally get zapped, particularly on the 19th when the sun trines Uranus and suddenly something becomes clear. You see a new opportunity for yourself. You are freed from magical thinking or expectations that you've had that you're now learning have no chance in hell of ever playing out, or freeing yourself from having been deluded either yourself or by someone else, or gaslit or fed fake information. The national news and the international news ought to really, really be hopping with all of this. Now, it's going to play out over a period of months, but on the 19th, you might have real vision, real clarity, and then next week, you're going to start to get your wits back in a really big way. So for now, just kind of watch the show, watch the weather, pretend you're sitting on a screen porch and there's a hell of a gully washer going on outside and the sky is crackling with lightning and you hear thunder and the water is just coming and coming and coming and coming. And after a while, it's actually kind of soothing to hear the water pummeling the roof. Keep that in mind. Immediately after the full moon, on the 18th, frustration is possible. Trying to understand something, getting a view of a limitation or a no or a wall or something that you cannot quite do yet, but you also cannot quite communicate about it yet, with Mercury opposing Saturn. Mercury will square Jupiter on the 21st. So what's going on this week is that Mercury is reigniting, reactivating the Jupiter-Saturn square that was exact on August 19th, and you might get information that plays into that. First, seeing what limitations are or what maturity is requiring or what kind of pulling up your pants and being an adult is required. And then by the 21st, as Mercury squares Jupiter, that brings incredible communication. The noise level goes up. So like we're screaming into the storm at this point, all kinds of information. And again, there is a big, big, big link to August 19th. Something more coming out, a tremendous amount of talk. A lot of things happen around August 19th. Look at what was going on in your life. The political news ought to be extremely active and thick. In the midst of this, we are called upon to adjust a relationship, to adjust an agreement, to adjust what we desire because of suddenly changing circumstances. Something hits, maybe it's suddenly seeing a difference in your values and someone else's and a switch going down. This has happened to me in a phone conversation with a friend of many, many years, and hearing her voice a belief about how people treat each other that completely changed our dynamic from that point on. See if something like that doesn't happen, that causes you to use a different label for who a person is in your life, or reshuffle who's where in your circle of friends. An issue by the weekend will be, have we forgiven too much? Have we excused too much? Have we participated in somebody mistreating us by being too tolerant of behavior that does not fit our values? Another way this could play out is, are we being called upon to be more loving and kind and forgiving and compassionate with someone? Or are we getting a big injection of inspiration and guidance that affects our own creativity and our relationships down here, with Venus in conjunct with Neptune? So something about the storm, something about the revelations, something about the huge dramas cresting and cresting and cresting will affect many things this week. They'll affect our relationships in particular, and also how we view ourselves, because as the full moon starts to dissipate, the sun is going to move into an exact opposition with Neptune, which is conjunct the moon during the full moon. Remember that Neptune is finishing up its time in the sign of Pisces, which it has occupied since 2011. And this full moon is the launch party for Neptune's departure. It is part of a long process of dredging a lot of stuff up and shutting a lot of things down, closing down many, many, many chapters. The part that is happening now involves turbulent waters, turbulent emotions, just turbulence in general, spitting stuff up from the depths that's been floating around in the waters with us that we now see, flotsam and jetsam, and go, oh man, that was down there? I didn't know. Revelations abound, abound, abound. And then at the end of the week comes the gear shift that will be with us as at least an undercurrent for the next 3 months. The sun moves into Libra on the 22nd, marking the beginning of autumn in the northern hemisphere and the beginning of spring in the southern. This is the equinox, the halfway point between the June and the December solstice. And before the sun moves into this nice, friendly, companionable home of Libra, it undergoes a purifying ritual All of us meet with dark, heavy forces, important forces, monumental influences, perhaps our own fears, terrors, a brush with power as the sun trines Pluto, the gatekeeper of the end of each sign, parked at 29 degrees Capricorn until the middle of November. You could strip some part of yourself down. There could be something that you choose to leave behind. There could be something that you are compelled to leave behind. Except with a trine, there isn't the forced feeling or compulsion. It is something that simply happens. So all of us meet up with this psychic cosmic scalpel, and then the sun moves into Libra, and the ruler of Libra, Venus, immediately scurries about herself. Venus rules what we value. She rules our relationships. She's the representation of women, and Venus squares Pluto and then moves into his deep, dark, intense waters of Scorpio. Venus and Pluto are kindred spirits in a way. Venus rules desire and money on a level that the mortal mind can comprehend. Pluto rules desire that is feral or cellular or primal, below the level of conscious thought, and large amounts of money, deep, deep treasures. Three-way situations are going to come to a head. Triangulation is always dicey when this happens. We could be forced to make a choice, to give something up, to cut back on something. There could be a revelation of a massive power struggle or betrayal or something that has been going on in the shadows that we then are forced to admit, to confront. And then Venus moves into her most intense mode in Scorpio: desires, relationships, issues involving the feminine of women, maybe less spoken, maybe less obvious, could be undercurrents, definitely huge, huge stakes involved. And it's probably not a coincidence that before this particular election in the United States, that Venus is in a sign about her absolute survival, life or death issues, and steering huge power and potentially huge transformation. It's quite the week. I encourage you to not try to steer any of this, but to find something to hang on to and be loose with where you're going. So you find something you can, like, imagine a bungee cord stuck somewhere, or a really, really strong guide rope stuck on a dock somewhere. Good luck, everyone. This one is a doozy. Homing thought of the week: show me what's important. Song of the week: this one is old enough to begin to have grandchildren. Love, Rain, or Me by The Who. And the image of the week, I have two. One of them is green flash, which is an atmospheric phenomenon on the shore, and a tsunami. You'll learn lots more about this in my forecasts for the Pisces full moon lunar eclipse and the month of September, both of which are up at my site, empowermentunlimited.net, where you can sign up for my mailing list and book a session with me. I'm Kathy Biehl, a professional astrologer with more than 30 years experience. I have lots of bonus content at patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, including an analysis of the chart for the September equinox, and I am deeply grateful to the people who support my work there. I host the show Celestial Compass on Om Times Radio and TV on the first and third Monday of every month at 5 p.m. Eastern. And my guest this week is my friend and colleague, Jill M. Jackson, talking about her new book, Manifesting Your Magic in the 5D. including many universal laws besides the law of attraction. I host lively conversation on Facebook, on the page Empowerment Unlimited, and in the group, the Astro-Insight Lounge. I post on Instagram and Threads at Kathy Biehl, and on YouTube at the Professional Aquarian channel. Talk to you next week.